The Sonic Truth Dynasty Podcast is live. I'm here with Cody Carpentier, my man, and we have two things on the agenda. Just two things on the agenda. Very quick, easy show today. It's going to be very fast, rapid fire the whole time. No, it won't be, but we're going to try to go efficiently. We have two things that we're doing. Cody has participated in 4 rookie drafts. We are going to look at these drafts. We will break these drafts down. We will be unapologetic. Some people that drafted in these drafts are not going to be happy with what we have to say about some of their teams. Okay? So that's the first thing on the agenda. The second thing is buys and sells. It's time to get out there and trade. If you've already had your rookie draft, it's time to go make some trades. If you haven't had your rookie draft yet, use those picks and go make some trades. I've got 5 guys. He's got 5 guys that we're buying. I've got 5 guys. He's got 5 guys that we're selling in Dynasty, and that's what we're going to do. And you might think, oh, my God, there's just 2 things. This should be a 20-minute show. Ha! You'd have no idea. You have no idea, man. Actually, I have 6 buys. I thought there was 5 or 6. We're going to talk about Josh Downs at some point. We could spend 10 minutes on Josh Downs, I'm sure. So this is it's going to be information packed. It's going to be a very big, beautiful, powerful show with these 2 critical agenda items. This is something we have not done. We have not just taken rookie drafts and broken them down forwards and backwards. So I'm excited to do that. And we're gonna kick it off. We're gonna start with that. Cody, is that cool?
That's cool with me.
The first draft that we're gonna look at, you were drafting out of the 105, and you drafted Travion Henderson at the 105. Does this one ring a bell to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right, so here it is. This is the draft. Here it is, everybody. This is the draft board. Let me just break it down for everyone. It started off with Ashton Genty, Marion Hampton, Tet McMillan. This was a Superflex league?
This is a 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium.
Where Travis Hunter and Marion Hampton and Tet McMillan went ahead of Cam Ward. Then you took Travion Henderson ahead of Cam Ward. You must have good quarterbacks.
I wouldn't say I quite have the best quarterbacks. This is an OG player profiler patron league. I have Dak Prescott at quarterback alongside, well, going into the draft, I had Daniel Jones and Spencer Rattler. Later on, I take a couple of quarterbacks. But yeah, I wanted a starter, I should have taken Cam Ward here. But the thing is, in this league, I felt much better just sitting on my Daniel Jones, I like having a bench full of just. And here's the thing: not taking Cam Ward at the 5 spot right there. I don't see Cam Ward in 25 and 2026 being this top 10 quarterback. So if I don't want to pay that draft capital there, I'd rather spend it on a running back and just have to bet on Daniel Jones getting an opportunity or bet on these Cleveland quarterbacks.
Okay, so then after Ward, it went R.J. Harvey, Judkins, Warren. Is this tight end premium?
This is tight end premium.
Okay. Caleb Johnson. Wow, there goes Golden at the 111, and then Dart at the 112. And it looks like Jay Mahoney had 2 first-round picks, and he traded out of one of the first-round picks, and he also traded out of his second-round pick. So, Mahoney traded into the first round.
Yep.
So Mahoney had the 112, and he traded in to get the 108, and he traded in to get the 208. And I'm looking around. It looks like he did a deal with you, sent you some picks later. We'll get to that later. And then it looks like he must have received just giving up just players in return. That must have been a players for picks trade. That's what I'm seeing there. That's interesting. Normally, it's like, I'll give you the 108. I'll get back the 303, right? But it doesn't look like that's what happened. So that's fascinating. Wow. Okay. So someone gave up this Maverick NZ, gave up the 108 and the 208, and did not receive picks in return that I can tell. Fascinating.
So
That is fascinating stuff.
the Jay Mahoney trade was a 2025 first and 2025 second for AJ Brown.
That was it. Okay. That's what that was. Okay. If you're Maverick NZ, get something back. Just get something back. Get some kind of pick back. Any pick. Just get a pick. Could be the following year. Get a pick back. Somehow, some way. So, okay, that was the first round. And then the second round goes Egbuka, Burden, Loveland, Harris, Scadaboo, Jaden Higgins, Besh, Tootin, Milrow, Knoll, Blue, Shuck. So Shuck lasted all the way to the 212. You guys let that happen in a Superflex league.
And I'll be honest, this is obviously pre I was supposed to call him David Carr, pre Derek Carr retiring from New Orleans, right? So he falls to 212 there. I'll be honest with you. You can see I took Cam Scadaboo at the 205 here.
Yeah.
And I am the opposite of a Cam Scadaboo truther. And I've often combat Alex, who loves Scadaboo and loves that opportunity in New York. I hate it. And I sat here on the clock at the 205 and I didn't love anything. I didn't have any deals on the table. Nobody would move with me. And I thought, man, I just need something now for this roster. I probably, in hindsight, go Jaden Blue. In super hindsight, which you didn't know, Derek Carr was going to retire. I would have just taken Shuck right here, and that would have been
okay. You would have taken Shuck. Okay, good. I'm glad that you said that. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank God. Then you traded into the third round 4 times.
I will say most of these, and you've talked about this on many a show, that this is one thing that I always do. When I ever make a deal player for player in the season, it's always give me a third. Give me a third. Because I love this exact thing right here. So all these thirds I had coming in.
Okay, perfect. So you did get Sanders. So you ended up with a quarterback, right? So you ended up with Shadur Sanders at the 303. At the 308, you traded a pick at some point. Traded for this pick at some point. At the 308, you took Ferguson, tight end Ferguson for the Rams. Then, again, at some point in the past, you acquired the 311. Ended up with Jarquez Hunter. Incredible upside play. I mean, just the ceiling play, the contingent upside play in this draft, Jarquez Hunter. There are injuries in Los Angeles in the backfield. Oh, my God. And then you went Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon's going to get a bunch of how many carries do you think Ollie Gordon's going to get? At least 150.
Ooh, I really wonder what this Jalen Wright thing's going to look like. That's going to be training camp and the Cleveland training camp. I'll be most interested to see what the splits look like. But Ollie Gordon, there's no reason he's not at least over 80. I don't know if I'm quite heavy enough to go 150 yet.
He's going to be between 150 and 100. He'll be 100 to 150, okay?
I like that.
Sampson will probably have fewer carries because Sampson actually has a competent running back, a proven competent running back behind Judkins that he has to compete with.
Yeah.
Okay? Where Jalen Wright is a complete unknown quantity. If Jalen Wright gets cut at the end of camp, it would be a surprise, but it wouldn't be a shock.
I'd be shocked.
Okay.
You wouldn't be shocked if Jalen Wright got cut?
I mean, they drafted Ollie Gordon for a reason, and they have a superstar in Achane. Now he's competing for the number 3 job. And if he's not picking up the pass blocking assignments, if he was a 4th rounder, it wasn't like this guy was even a day 2 pick. He fell to the 4th round. He's really athletic. He's a fun player. But we have seen this before. We have seen this before where guys like this, if they're not special teams players, right? You would think if a guy runs a 4.38 that he would be good on special teams.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not aware of him playing much on special teams. So now it's like they might have to carry 4 running backs to carry Wright because they're not going to cut Ollie Gordon.
Well, I think the theory would be, Alexander Madison's on the roster.
Exactly.
And that would be the guy that I would definitely first step lean to. Last year, Achane had 203 carries. Mostert had 85. He's now gone. Wright had 68. I think Wright fits in that Mostert rule this year. And then you have the Jeff Wilson slash Wright rule, which is another 85 carries, which I think is in the ballpark for Ollie. I think those three. But that's the thing, man. If Madison has any juice and maybe Wright isn't picking up the playbook, I can follow your logic, but being a fourth round, second year guy with burst, I just feel like in that offense, you would hold on to the younger guy than the Alexander Madison, who's just the career donk.
He's probably fine. He's probably safe, but we're talking about pass pro issues. We're talking about potential ball security issues. And then that's how these guys get cut. They do. This is what we were talking about when this running back class was getting ready to be drafted. Watch out, everybody. Nobody is safe. That's the thing. So we'll see what happens. But Ollie Gordon could easily overcome Wright and overcome Alexander Madison. I'm saying it's a very low bar for him to overcome them relatively early in the season. And that's how that's the case for him to get to 150 carries, 80 to 100 more likely. But like I said, I like the pick. Because, I mean, if he does get more than 100 carries this year, then it's going to look like a smash where you got him. An absolute smash. Because you drafted him at slot 311. So player number 36. And then in the fourth round, you just had your one pick, and then you traded it. So you had no picks in the fourth round, except then you traded back in, and you did have one later. You got Dylan Gabriel at pick 410.
So right? I could double Cleveland quarterback. That was the goal there.
Okay, so you just hoarded the Cleveland quarterback. I love it. In this book on Amazon, the Dynasty Dominator book, we talk about handcuffing and why handcuffing works in Dynasty and it doesn't work in seasonal leagues. And that's all positions, right? That's all positions. If you have Rattler, you want Chuck, right? That's just good process in Dynasty. These rosters are so deep. The opportunity cost of adding a player, even if you have two players on the same team and you can't start them at the same time, that's an issue when there's scarcity on your bench. But in a lot of these Dynasty leagues, there's not a lot of scarcity on the bench. There's at least 6, 7, 8 bench spots, then another 5 to 10 taxi squad spots. It's not a big deal, right?
God,
later, you drafted Restrepo at pick 505 and Felton at pick 510. So you decided to start grabbing receivers in round 5. Were there any running backs you were considering, or were they just all gone at that point? Because Marks goes in round 4, Brashard Smith goes in round 4, Giddens, Taj Brooks, Damian Martinez. You did take Restrepo over Trevor Etienne and Monangai.
Bad play.
Then you drafted Felton over Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, but I did get Krosky Merritt though at the 512. In hindsight, I think.
That's your pick. Okay, you traded back in for that pick. Okay, wow, man, it's hard for me to keep track of all that. But you're a trading machine in this. Okay, so you did end up with Krosky Merritt. Great job, but yeah, Restrepo over.
That was a bad play. That was a bad play, and this is the thing. You get to look at this 3 weeks later, hindsight, and I've always liked Etienne in college. I don't think he's going to be this world-beating different thing, but I think he can definitely be a 2 right now in Carolina, beat out Rico Dowdle on day 1. Monangai, we've seen through rookie camp now, him kind of seem like he's potentially going to, Alex thinks he's going to be Isaiah Pacheco 2.0, but I'm not quite there. But hindsight, definitely should have taken one of those running backs at the 5.5. Restrepo probably falls to me at that 5.10 spot, but Felton also being a 3rd round pick in the NFL draft falling there was crazy. The thing about this roster is that my receivers are pretty sick. You remember this league where you have to start 5 receivers, right? So my 5 receiver set right now is London, Marv Harrison, Brendan Ayuk, DJ Moore, and Rashee Rice. And then I have a flex, it's Addison. So it's pretty thick.
We'll talk about Addison later.
And we will. But running back is a spot where I am I'm rather weak. I have Travion now. I got like Braylon Allen. It's a weak spot, so I kind of targeted it with intention. That's kind of why the Scatterboo thing kind of made sense a little bit. But hindsight, I should have just leaned into. I think I got too bought into like, I think Restrepo is maybe going to make this roster. I should have just leaned into running back and just, this is the rule we always talk about, right? For the last 4 or 5 years, I feel
you fell for it, man. Banana in the tailpipe receiver in the 5th round. You did it. You fell for it. This is what we talk about all the time, actually.
Yeah. Taking running back is the whole goal. And then I get to the end of the draft and there's still more running backs that I should have realized, hey, these are going to be like, they're going to start out as number 3s on the roster with potential to be 2s. Draft them.
Bro, Modern guy in the middle of the 5th round would have been a smash. ETN, middle of the 5th round, a 4th round running back. When you can draft a running back in your rookie draft later than he went in the actual rookie draft, in the actual NFL draft, my God, man.
Sirens going off.
Yeah, like I don't like Trevor Etienne much at all, but there it's like, oh God, I got to take him there. You can't not take him. That's the thing. You can't not take him. Also, the other reason I would have gone Modern guy is because I have so much Roschon Johnson. Like I am overflowing with Roschon Johnson. So if you're overflowing with Roschon Johnson, you have no choice, but you just got to go Modern guy. Like again, this book talks about it. If you have a bunch of Roschon Johnson, get Modern guy, and then anything happens to DeAndre Swift, and you're completely wheels up, and you didn't have to invest much at all. One of the best buys in all of Dynasty right now, the must-throw-in of all must-throw-in players is Roschon Johnson. Nick Chubb was rumored to go to Chicago. He did not go. That is partly because they trust Roschon Johnson. He is arguably more trustworthy in the passing game as both a blocker and a receiver than DeAndre Swift. And he also can run the ball. So there's a lot to like with Roschon Johnson, and he's just been the snake-bitten running back over the last 2 years. And just because you've been burned and he didn't break out doesn't mean he's not going to break out. Plenty of running backs break out in year 3, especially those that were highly regarded coming out of college. Right, he was the star of the Senior Bowl, and then went early 4th round because NFL teams really like him. So that's the easy bull case for Roschon Johnson. Just scoop him up in every league, find a way to do a deal, and just get him in as a throw-in. So I think you did nice. It was good. It was just that, especially if you didn't need receiver, there's just not a lot of upside there with Restrepo. It's interesting. Longer term, though, a couple of years from now, Restrepo is going to be getting a bunch of targets. If he can stick around on that roster and be a possession receiver that Cam Ward trusts, he is a guy that can command targets. Like I do think that if there was a receiver to draft in the 5th round, it would be either Restrepo or Felton, and you ended up with both of them. Like the guys that were going, but like Ricky White, I mean, he's a 7th rounder. He's no lock to make the roster. Pat Bryant made it all the way to the 412, even though he was a day 2 pick, but that is a trap, right? So Savion Williams could be interesting, but you got to flip him as soon as he does anything. And then you had Gunnar Helm and Gadsden going in round 5, and I like Gadsden a lot. I like him a lot more than Gunnar Helm. I mean, who do you like more? Do you like Gadsden more or Gunnar Helm more?
I like Helm because I think he's better in line. He can play both in line and outside in Tennessee, and he can take over that job from. Oh gosh, his name escaped me now. You know, the tight end and
Okonkwo?
Yes, Chig. I was like, I don't want to call him like Orlando as Okonkwo. I think Gunnar Helm can beat out Okonkwo sooner than later. Gadsden going up to Los Angeles, man, that is Stone Smart written all over it. I don't know. I don't trust Harbaugh with anything other than running.
All right. We get another team. So that was good. That was a good job. Oh my God.
But here's the thing with that roster.
Oh no, man. Oh no. I just looked at this next team. There are so many trades. Oh my God. I had a hard time. I was stumbling through the last one because of all the trades. Oh
Is this
my
the,
God, this next one. Oh
is
goodness.
this is the league?
This is tough. This is
This
tough to. This is a rough one. Oh my God. Okay, so let's just lay it out for people here. Genty went at the 101, and then Hunter at the 102. Seth Ewald, hey, Matty Kiwoom, oh, Amarian Hampton at the 103 to Matty Kiwoom. And then you traded in to get Henderson at the 104. You're just all in on Henderson, which I fucking love. Then McMillan goes at the 105. Then you traded the 106, which ended up becoming Cam Ward. Then the next pick was traded to Nate Liss, who took Judkins. And then the next pick was Dart. And then you traded in with the Harry Snowman to take Caleb Johnson. Wow. Then RJ Harvey. So wait, you took Johnson over Harvey. Well, that's it. We'll talk about that. Then you traded back in again and took Igbuka at the 111. Nate trades in to take Loveland at the 112. So you and Nate were just trading into the first round. What were you guys giving up?
This was like some peak, like, he's West Coast, right? So this was like 1:30 a.m. my time. And Nate's like, I want your pick. He wants that pick to get Quinchon. I was at 7. He wanted to get the 7 to take Quinchon. I had 7. I think I had 4, 7, 4, 7, 11, and 12. 4, 7, 11, 12, something like this. And then I ended up trading him 7, going from 12 to 9, keeping 11. It was just a bunch of crap. But anyway, it's like 1:30 in the morning. He's texting me, he's like, what do you want? I got to get up this pick. So I traded him the pick. That deal ended up being pretty large. That one ended up being, listen to this. So I got Derrick Henry, a second next year, a third, and he got that pick in a fourth.
Wow. To trade up one spot, you have Derrick Henry to trade up one spot?
Yeah.
What?
He got no. You said
no.
I
understand. He got both picks. I get it. Yeah. But like, I mean, he could have just stayed at the pick and not done a trade. He was just panicking? Was he sure that Judkins was going to go? Someone could easily in that spot. Someone could easily take Johnson. Could easily take Harvey.
Yeah. He wouldn't tell me who he wanted, but yeah. I mean, I knew I wanted Caleb. I would have taken Caleb at 7.
Well, there you see. This is what I'm talking about.
That's why I moved down, though. I was like willing to take him at 7. He's like, I want to get up, and I was like, well, you can get up for whatever you want. I know you're not going to take my guy.
Okay, so you have Caleb over RJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Why?
And Dynasty. I mean, I love RJ Harvey, the prospect, and I think he's going to have some, rather high upside in Denver and abilities, and he's going to be the number 1 from the jump. But I don't think you can bet on the 5'9", 200-pound running back that runs a 4.4 in that offense when we know it's pretty pass-centric, pass-first, over a guy in Caleb Johnson at 6'1", 225 pounds, who's replacing a guy that was a first-round pick that went back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, played all 16 games each year, and Caleb Johnson fits that offense better than Najee even fit that offense. Even if Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, which we have no idea if it's going to happen or not, it's still going to be run-centric. If it's Will Howard, it's definitely going to be run-centric. If it's Mason Rudolph, you following there? Like, I'm betting on the next 4 years, Caleb Johnson being Najee Harris.
Did you see the chain that he wore at the draft, or in while he was watching the draft, his draft party?
Yeah.
They interviewed him, and he had a chain that looked like it weighed 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Like it was one of the biggest chains I've ever seen. And I was like, I don't think I could wear that. Not because of from a style perspective. I think it just from a lower body and upper body strength. Just
Your
from
back
my torso, my back muscles, my traps. I don't know if I could literally carry the damn necklace. So that made me like him more.
He can carry the necklace on his back. He can carry the team on his back. Like, I just think he's going to be that. If I believe in something like this, like a role, I believe in the Caleb Johnson, Najee Harris role in Pittsburgh. I believe that when Mike Tomlin wants something, or he sees something, or he likes something, he's going to lean into it. We saw it. We've learned it. He's done it year after year after year after year. He's been in Pittsburgh. And the Caleb Johnson role feels pretty apparent to what it is. Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, miss me with it. The RJ Harvey thing feels like it could fall off a lot quicker than anything could go wrong with Caleb outside of injuries for both cases.
That is a fact. That is a fact. RJ Harvey is certainly in a more fragile situation. He's a more fragile player, more fragile prospect. Just because he went earlier in the draft doesn't mean he's a more durable prospect or has a higher floor. That's not true. I mean, we're looking at Seth Dewald. We're looking at Matty Kiwoom. We're looking at Nate. We're looking at Cody Carpentier. Okay. Harry Snowman is in here. We know Jay Mahoney, he's a killer. He runs these leagues. He's doing a great job. Love Jay Mahoney. And, oh my God. How did it come to pass that Harry Snowman goes Mason Taylor at the 209, Jay Owens goes Milrow, the draft genius goes Besh, and then Jeremy Ledlow goes Arroyo. And do you know the name that I'm not saying? I'm going down the list here. All these guys get drafted. Scadaboo goes in the second round, mid-second round. Tootin goes mid-second round. Noel goes mid-second round. All these guys. And then we have to go all the way to the 303 before someone finally drafts Tyler Shuck again. What? This is a super flex format.
What's Draft Genius was there at 211. Draft Genius was at 211. He took Besh. He had the pick to take Shook at 211.
Unbelievable. There's only a few picks here. Like, the Jaden Blue is defensible. Jaden Blue seizes a big role this year for the Cowboys. Very defensible pick. Tootin defensible. Higgins defensible. But my God, man, the rest of these picks not defensible at all. Get out of here. What are we doing? I can't believe it. I want to be in this draft. I would have had Shuck, man. I probably would have drafted him too early. I mean, my problem is I would have, quote unquote, reached on Shuck because I would have had no idea he would slip this far. Oh, my God. It's crazy.
I get it.
Even before Carr retires.
Yeah,
it wasn't like anyone thought Carr was really going to play all 17 games this year. Shuck was going to get in there this year, given his age. He's ready to go. Like, he's primed and ready to be a starter in the NFL. And then he would accrue all this value. There will be a point in time this year, whether Carr was on the roster or not, that Shuck was going to have a big value pop, and then you can take advantage and flip him. Whereas a guy like Taylor, even Milrow, there's no guarantee to that. So that's why I thought that the Shuck was such a smash. And now you're seeing Shuck go late first in some of these now that's like jumping the shark. Okay, now that's a little too early for a guy like that. Whereas any time in the second round, man, Shuck is great. So third round, it goes Aomanor, Blue, Shuck,
Draft Genius took Aomanor over him too?
Yes.
What?
Yes. It's crazy.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I don't care, whether it's before or after the Carr retirement. It makes no sense. Then it was Royals, Howard, Will Howard, Jarquez Hunter, Taj Brooks, great pick by Cody Carpentier, Taj Brooks. Trade with Nate Liss, get Taj Brooks with Nate's pick. That's amazing. Pat Bryant goes, Kyle Williams goes, Shadur Sanders goes to Matty Kiwoom, nice pick. And then Dylan Sampson falls all the way to the 312. You love to see it. The next round, it goes Fannin, Neal, Gabriel, Giddens, Gaskin, James, Marks. Great pick by Nate in the mid-fourth round. Tesla, Monangai in the fourth. That's where he should go. Not ahead of Brashard Smith. Incredible pick by Mahoney. Mahoney's like, I got to get back into this. I got to take Brashard Smith there. Ollie Gordon lasts all the way to the 411. Then Torrey Horton goes. And then Restrepo, Savion, and Ty Felton to start off the fifth round, all receivers. Don't love that. Milton goes, and then we have Damian Martinez at the 505. Love the pick. Absolutely love it. Helm, DK, then Trevor Etienne to Nate Liss because he knows what he's doing. Mullings, LaQuint Allen, and then Matty Kiwoom trades in at the 511 to take Krosky Merritt like a boss. And then it wraps up with Ricky White. Nice draft. Nice draft. So let's recap here. It's very hard for me to figure this out, but you ended up with Travion Henderson
trades.
and Caleb Johnson and Emeka Egbuka. And then you also drafted Will Howard, Jarquez Hunter, Taj Brooks, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I felt good about it.
I
knew coming in I had to target at least 2 backs in that first round. And that's exactly what I did, including, like I said, the kind of free roll was I knew I was going to get Henderson at 4 because nobody's going to take him. And then I wanted to take Caleb at 7, got him at 9. But the free roll in that was the trade we talked about with Nate getting up to 7, and I just got Derrick Henry for free. And I got the 3rd running back, which kind of enabled me.
Well, you didn't get Derrick Henry for free.
But I kind of. I moved down. I still got the guy I wanted, plus I got the back.
I don't know what Nate was doing there. You got to, in that situation, Nate, if you're listening, just let your league mates screw up. When you trade up, you let your league mates play perfectly.
Yeah.
Right? Don't put your league mates in a position where they're playing perfectly. Challenge them to make the efficient, correct picks. And you have to just let it happen. You have to just stay put and let it happen. Now, who are your receivers in this league?
So this league is 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 4 receivers, tight end, and then 2 flex and a super flex. And the receivers are Chase, Olave, Addison, Egbuka. The running backs are now Henry, Najee, Henderson, and Caleb.
Pretty good. But in the previous one, you also have Marvin Harrison, right?
I also have Marvin Harrison. This one on the 5th receiver is Cedric Tillman, for example, and then like Dontavian Wicks. Those are bench guys, though.
We're going to talk about Cedric
Tillman.
This
one has the running back depth.
We're going to talk about Cedric Tillman. Stay tuned. Aloha Panda in the chat says that he traded Marvin Harrison for the 103, a 2027 first rounder, and Chris Olave.
Oh, gosh.
And that, to me, is the smash of the smashes. I want to say congratulations to him. He, I think, did a trade that everyone should be very jealous of. I don't think I could do that trade. I think most people that try to do that trade are going to get rejected. That trade is absolutely a smash. Rare. And I'm curious to know if that trade was proposed to him or he proposed that trade. I'm always curious how that worked. Like, how does that even come to pass? I wouldn't have even proposed such a ridiculous trade, given that we know Chris Olave is teed up for a nice season and he's healthy, and someone was just willing to just punt Chris Olave. And if someone's willing to punt a high-quality receiver who very recently had 1,800 air yards, and that's the whole case for Marvin Harrison is air yards, well, you just gave up a guy that had even more air yards than Marvin Harrison's ever had. So, wow, great job to Aloha Panda. Fireworks.
I just want you to know. You just gave him a little mini party. He says, thanks, haha, 8-team league. And that's my 6th. That's my 6th 2027 first.
Okay, I take it back. Okay, I take it back. It's 8-team league. Who fucking cares? God damn him. I can't believe I got trolled. Oh, my God. I got trolled by an 8-team leaguer. I don't even know if that's a good trade anymore, if it's an 8-team league. I don't even know if can you start Olave in an 8-team league? What is he going to say? That we start one receiver?
He's going to be
Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Olave is a throw-in. He's cuttable in an 8-team league.
Oh, for Christ. I don't know. God, I can't take the fireworks back. God damn it. Let's just pretend that it was like at least a 10-team league. That's a great trade.
It's a great trade.
There's a big debate right now about Marvin Harrison Jr. There's a lot of smart people that like him. Andrew Cooper likes him. Evan Ringler does not like him. I just did a love-hate. I've been doing these shorts on TikTok and Instagram Reels. Love-hate. 30 seconds on why I hate a guy. 30 seconds on why I love a guy. It's the little bit that I do with Alex on Roster Watch. He loves it. And so we started doing some shorts. And, yeah, polarizing players like Marvin Harrison Jr. They deserve a love-hate video. And I do like that he was efficient against man coverage, and I do like that he commands a lot of air yards. You can't take that away from him, and he was drafted in the top 5. He was a quality, productive college player. Those are the things to like about him. Things not to like about him. He was used essentially as a one-dimensional player, and he has some of the worst rapport in the league with his quarterback, and the quarterback is the same, and the coaching staff is the same. So it's going to be a challenge to change everything when nothing is changing, right? You're hoping for a complete flip of the script with the same quarterback, same coaches, and that's why I am skeptical, and I'm not getting any Marvin Harrison at his current ADP in any format. We see this, the residual draft capital and brand equity of these players, son of an NFL star. You're not going to be able to trade for these guys at value until it's too late. Because once the league has finally finished fading them and your league mates have finally come to Jesus and they've struggled to an extent where no one can deny that they're not that good, at that point, what are you really gaining? So there's a handful of players out there that are going to be very difficult to ever acquire. At age 30, Calvin Ridley is finally an acquisition target in formats, all formats, especially Dynasty, and he's a guy you got to draft in best ball, you got to hoard him in best ball and trade for him in Dynasty. Calvin Ridley's teed up to smash this year. He has essentially taken 2 years off, one where he got suspended and then he had to sit out the entire year after that. No, actually, 1 year he took most of the season off for a mental health break, and then while he was on the mental health break, was caught gambling, and then had to sit out the next season. So even though he's 30 years old, he came into the league very old, like at age 23. He didn't start playing college football till like age 20. And so just if you look at how much football he's played, there's not nearly as many miles on those tires as the typical 30-year-old. And he's in a position to, soak up a lot more accurate deep targets than he did last year after leading the league in air yards. So in terms of the opportunity that's in front of him, it is extraordinary. And this is a player that had all the sort of Marvin Harrison hype around him for many years. And he was a guy you just couldn't draft in fantasy. He was undraftable for years and years and years and years. It's like but we're now finally at a point where all the hipsters are done with him, and I'm getting him finally.
Are you saying you'd prefer Calvin Ridley to Marvin Harrison this year?
Yes.
Gosh. I thought Trash Man was low on Marvin Harrison.
The Trash Man doesn't like Marvin Harrison?
The Trash Man hates Marvin Harrison.
Why does Trash Man, what's the Trash Man take on Marvin? I can't believe I'm asking this. I don't know why I care about this, but now suddenly I'm curious. Why doesn't Trash Man like Marvin Harrison?
So in one QB Dynasty, I have him 13th overall. Trash Man has him 40th, just for context.
Okay, so we have him at Player Profiler, just so everyone knows. We have Marvin Harrison at wide receiver 26.
Wide receiver 26?
Yes.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah. We have him wide receiver 26, but he's going 27 overall on underdog.
Well, okay. So Trash Man's take, I think, is, he's Trash Man. So his is that he went up to training camp last year and saw Greg Dortch play better. Greg Dortch is a better receiver than Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the Trash Man take. And that Michael Wilson's good. Trey McBride's going to take all the targets, and he's not an alpha. That's the Trash Man take. And
I mean, we're what, 6 NFL weeks away from Marvin Harrison potentially being exposed as a DK Metcalf level fake alpha?
Well, I mean, so over the last decade, there's only been 6 rookie receivers to have 880 yards and 8 touchdowns in this season. 6. All 6 have been top 51 draft picks. All 6 have been super studs outside of, Jordan Addison's number 2 right now in Minnesota. That's kind of a little bit of an outlier because Jefferson was hurt. But the other ones are Chase, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas, Brian Thomas, and Marv. I am the opposite of out on Marv. And this is, I don't care about this picture that popped up of him in the press conference where he added 20 pounds of bicep muscles. Like, that is what it is. I think Marv's a good receiver. Like, he was still top 10 in air yard share this last year. He's still top 10 in deep targets this last year. He might have been one-dimensional this last year, not had a great rapport, but we know it's always tough for these rookies to create rapport. One of my biggest buys that we're going to talk about later has horrible rapport with his quarterback last year at training camp, and it really never started to click till the end of the year. In year 2, you get the full offseason with that team. He's the one. They didn't go out and draft Kyle Williams. They didn't go out and draft Isaac Tesla. They kept what they had. They added the Wheaties box that was Zay Jones, right? And they got Greg Dortch and Trey McBride, who we know are going to be there, is what it is. Michael Wilson's a good number 2. This is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s, 116 targets last year. He's going to take a step up here. We're getting a 1,200, 1,300 yard season, double-digit touchdowns out of Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that, and this is coming from someone that had Malik Neighbors number 1 last year, preferred Malik Neighbors, still prefers Malik Neighbors to Marv. Marv is, I ain't going to tell you what to do, but I would not have Marvin Harrison Jr. outside my top 15 it wouldn't get caught dead with him outside my top 15 at the wide receiver position. I got him at wide receiver 7 in Dynasty.
All we've seen from Marvin Harrison Jr. is him not play well. In very specific circumstances where he's going against man coverage, okay, he does have a high win rate. And yet, because of the way they're using him, teams know they can play him and bracket him just like they bracket DK Metcalf. So is he just DK Metcalf? I don't know. Is he like a slower DK Metcalf? That's what Trash Man saw.
Trash Man's wild. That's the thing, is that's not what he is, though. He's not. DK Metcalf is, kind of think about it as like a one-cut rusher, a one-cut back, like a Latavius Murray, right? Yeah. He's got the speed to go. It's one cut, gone. DK Metcalf's got, like, he can run you a slant, but as soon as he catches that slant, he's either he can go one cut up and gone, or he can just run the 9, right?
Yeah, it's slants or fades. That's what it is with DK Metcalf.
Marv's got a much more distinct route tree than anything that we've seen from DK Metcalf.
Okay.
This is the thing, like, that's the thing about I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. The hate for Marv was not because he couldn't play football. It's because he lacked the dynamism, which is the whole thing we're talking about here. Malik had the dynamism. Rome showed the dynamism, like the Jamar Chase factor, right? The difference-making thing. DK Metcalf has that speed. Marv doesn't. That's just not his play style, though. And yes, he struggled in certain situations, but again, I'm just going to go back to this. Like, he was still one of, not the most prolific, but he was still one of the most prolific rookies we've seen in the last decade at the wide receiver position. To just write it off and say he couldn't win here, he had bad games here, I get it. But we also saw a game where they're like, we need to feed Marv. And in the first half, they threw him 4 footballs for 120 yards and a touchdown, and then they just didn't throw him the football the rest of the game. In the first, literally like 15 minutes of the game, he had 4 catches for 130 and a touchdown. Like, he can take over the whole thing. He is the whole thing.
Are you guys roster watch going back to Cardinals camp this year?
Well, Cardinals camp last year was a co-practice with the Colts. So, and Trashman was at the Colts facility. So if it's a co-practice, probably, but it all depends on timing.
I'd be very curious to hear how he looks in training camp. Very curious. Anyone that's going to the Cardinals training camp, let me know. Let us know. Tweet me at fantasy_mansion. Email me podfather@rotounderworld.com. Let us know. I'm very curious. We're open. We're open to make changes here, but this is what we've seen. This is what we've seen. It's hard if you have Cam Ward back there throwing to Calvin Ridley. It's hard for me to imagine that not paying off with more upside and a higher floor, especially the higher floor with Calvin Ridley this year than Marvin Harrison Jr. Certainly Marvin Harrison has the upside, if things click into place for Marvin Harrison, certainly he's going to blow away Calvin Ridley. But I think that's the probability of that happening, I think is really, really low. If we had some signal that there has been a change in philosophy, strategy, usage, then it's an easier leap to make. On Flex 4, the Fast Draft Flex 4 game, so we look at that game. If you liked Marvin Harrison Jr. and you're like, you're crazy, I'm all over Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm with Cody, the Podfather is dead wrong, well, I have an idea. I have a recommendation for you. Go to Fast Draft and go draft the hell out of Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay? Marvin Harrison Jr. is being drafted in the same area as Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Devontae Smith, Tet McMillan. You like Marvin Harrison Jr., go draft him on Fast Draft. The Flex 4 game, you draft any 6 running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and it's best ball, top 4 into your lineup every week, $50,000 prize pool, $10,000 to first. Go draft the hell out of Marvin Harrison Jr. The reason why these wide receivers are being drafted in the 40s, by the way, Devontae Adams is in that tier as well, is because there's a running back premium. You can draft 6 running backs. Okay, so there's no limitation on the running backs you can draft. So a lot of running backs will go earlier than a lot of the similar producing wide receivers. Last year, the winning team drafted Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara. It was just one breakout or massive producing spike week specialist running back. It was early in the season. It was Kamara with the spike weeks. Later in the season, it was Josh Jacobs with the spike weeks. It was just monster running back production. Has historically been the way to win that contest. But it's even if you look at where Marvin Harrison is being drafted vis-a-vis other receivers, if you like him, you can get overweight on him very easily, build a portfolio that's heavily weighted toward Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you can place your chips there, and if you really believe in him, then you can make a lot of money on Fast Draft. FastDraft.app is the website where you can see all these ADPs, and you can go to Fast Draft in the App Store, Google Play. The code is Podfather. You get a $50 deposit match. And tomorrow, recording this on Thursday, if you're listening to the podcast, you're listening to it on a Friday. Friday is Fast Draft Friday. And on Fast Draft Friday, we always do some kind of special promotion. And the Fast Draft Friday special promotion is that if you do a turbo mode order for 10 teams, costs $50 to do that, then we'll give you a $50 bonus, a turbo bonus. So essentially, you can do a $50 turbo for free. We're gonna compensate you for a $50 turbo mode order, so you can get to know the turbo mode A lot of people haven't tried out turbo mode yet. It is fantastic. I know you use turbo. Alex uses turbo. Alex actually won thousands of dollars last year, and most of the teams that he drafted were via turbo mode. So it's a pretty good deal. All right. We are only through 2 teams. We've only analyzed 2 teams. We're well into the show. We're many, many, many minutes into the show. And so we have a lot more show to go. We're probably going to have to speed up our analysis of these drafts. And we're going to get into the 2 more drafts, 2 more rookie drafts coming to you from Cody Carpentier and the teams he drafted in Dynasty after this. Theo Greminger is gone. We wish him all the best, but he did leave for us a great gift, the 2025 Player Profiler Rookie Guide. That's right. It is here. It is beautiful. It will help you dominate your rookie drafts this year. It features 60-plus player breakdowns, written primarily by Theo Greminger himself, as well as our proprietary NFL draft grades and strategy and tactics for dominating your rookie draft this year. We have a composite rankings with Theo's rankings, Cody, John Lobb, Jagger May, and Jax Falcone. It's right there on Player Profiler. It's $20. You won't find a better draft kit. You certainly won't find a better draft kit value. So go get it on PlayerProfiler.com. Oh, you did a great job with that draft kit, Cody. And we've updated all the rankings, all the analysis. It's all been updated post-draft. Go get the draft kit right there on PlayerProfiler.com. It's right there in the Dynasty menu. It's right there in the NFL draft menu. You can see the rookie guide. Go get it. It's also part of the Dynasty Deluxe package. If you already have Dynasty Deluxe, then you have the rookie guide included. Okay, so we have yet another team, and I'm looking. I believe this is a different team than we looked at before. This team had Cam Ward going at the 103. Okay, so finally Cam Ward goes at a place that makes sense. All right. This draft goes Genty, Hampton, Ward, McMillan, Hunter, Henderson, Dart, Loveland, Warren, Judkins, Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey at the 112. And Cody Carpentier is drafting where?
From the 1 with Frank.
Oh, Aqua Dump.
We
and Cody drafting together. You got Ashton Genty, and then you came back at the 201 with Igbuka, and then you traded your 301. And let's see if you acquired any picks along the way. It looks like you were able to, hold back and not submit to the temptation. Taj Brooks at the 401. Oh, I love that pick so much. And then James at the 501. That's a great pick. Jordan James at the 501. He's a San Francisco 49er. I don't care about anything other than he's now a 49er. I just want 49ers, especially 49ers running backs. I mean, most of the running backs were off the board by then. This is actually, thank God we were able to look at this draft, because this is a logical draft. You have Mahoney's in this draft, of course, because Josh Mahoney's just a stud. Bradley Stalder is in this. He's the man. And then we've got some teams that I know. Jerry's Dead Money. That team does well typically. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and I think it's where Cam Ward should go. For example, if you look at the 4th round. ETN, Brooks, Gordon, Krosky, Merritt, Monangai go in the 4th round. That's where they should go. The one pick that jumps out at me as pretty wacky is Cortland Colston Loveland at the 108. Weird.
Well, when you got a lean and you see targets and you see opportunities, I get it. It's not the first time I've seen Loveland go ahead of Warren. I think I had another draft. I think we might have looked at it earlier. I can't remember. My head's broken. But which one did he go in the second? He went in at the 203 in the one league. I get it. I don't agree with it in tight end premium, especially. This is tight end premium as well. So you kind of got the both sides of the fence. You got him falling, and then you got people reaching for him. It all just kind of comes down to how you perceive the opportunities. We're showing you, there you go. We're in your opportunities in Chicago versus like Tyler Warren in Indianapolis. We're going to talk about Josh Downs here in a minute. It's like, I love Josh Downs. I love Adonai Mitchell. I love Michael Pittman. I don't love Alec Pierce. I love Tyler Warren. But like, who's the quarterback throwing the football? Right? That's what it comes down to. And you look at like and so that's just for the tight end thing. But you look at like Chicago with Colston Loveland, you can tell yourself a couple of different stories. Yes, there's a ton of weaponry there, but we've seen the success that Ben Johnson has had with Laporta, with Amon-Ra, with Jameson, with the backfield. I trust the creativity of a Ben Johnson, so I can definitely see. And like you said, Jerry's Dead Money is generally a good team in most of these leagues, and it's like he obviously has a feel for the Chicago offense, leaning more heavily into that. I think DJ Moore is a guy that you could potentially see be traded. It would not shock me if Loveland and Burden live up to the hype if we see DJ Moore traded before the end of the NFL season this year. Think like week 6, 7, 8 before the trade deadline type of situation. There's just so much weaponry there, and Moore's, that's a whole different story. But I don't mind the Loveland thing, to be honest with you.
Okay, but this is what we talked about. Caleb Johnson falls to the 111. Judkins at the 110. Harvey at the 112. You like these running backs. Yeah. If it's tight end premium, you have no idea what your teammates are going to do. Your league mates could come up and someone could love Egbuka. Someone could love Matthew Golden. You have no idea. Someone clearly loved Loveland. Someone else before him even loved Dart more than that.
Which that's the one that jumped to me. I was like,
so it's crazy to me. I mean, if it's super flex, it's never that crazy for a first-round quarterback to go in the first round of a super flex draft. Like, that doesn't strike me as that crazy. It's just the landing spot for Warren and Loveland so bad. Both of them, though, are bad in 2025, could easily be good in 2026. DJ Moore gets traded. The team moves on and anoints Loveland as their number one tight end, right? Move on from Kmet, move on from Moore. Things consolidate. You could see it happening. Indianapolis, they upgrade the quarterback position in 1 year. They're a year away from upgrading the quarterback position somehow, right? Either Daniel Jones exceeds expectations, coming in because there's no way Richardson plays 17 games. So in spelling Richardson, Jones could exceed expectations and then earn the job for next year. And then that benefits Warren. Or both Richardson and Daniel Jones implode and they go out and they upgrade the quarterback position in the draft or in free agency, somehow, some way, in trade, whatever it is. Things can get better. Michael Pittman moves on. Suddenly things consolidate. Quarterback gets upgraded. Either way, though, I like Tyler Warren more. Who do you have higher, Tyler Warren or Loveland?
In Dynasty, I think I have them back to back. Warren at 56, Loveland at 57 in 1 QB.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you really don't have a take on that at all.
No.
All right. Well.
Honestly, here's the thing, and this is probably I'll adjust it right now. If I had the proverbial gun to my head right now, I would be taking Loveland. Right? I would be taking Loveland. I thought you were going to play the cliche. Gotcha. I'd be taking Loveland. I just would. I think you look for upside. You look for the next 3 years. Warren, like you said, we're banking on a new quarterback coming there. We're banking on the connection with Richardson. What did we just get done talking about with Harrison? And I got a player I'll talk about here in a minute with connections that are built as rookies. Like, I don't know if Warren's going to live up. Warren's definitely not living up to this Brock Bowers thing that I know people aren't saying he's going to have.
At least there is a Brock Bowers thing. There's no Brock Bowers thing with Loveland.
No, I think there's more of a Brock Bowers thing with Loveland than there is with Warren in reality. That's the thing I think pushes Loveland over the edge, is that there's no way in hell we're going to get 1,000-yard season out of Tyler Warren. There just isn't. I would stamp it. I would tell you it. I'd bet everything on it. I bet the house on it. I'd bet my career. I bet everything that Warren does not have a Brock Bowers, 1,000-yard season, 10 touchdowns. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Loveland, I could tell myself that story. They trade away DJ Moore, Burden doesn't hit, whatever happens, Loveland's the guy. Roma Dunze, if you're skeptical about Marv, you got to be skeptical about Roma a little bit.
Not really.
Loveland could come in there, and Loveland could be the alpha. He could be the Bowers.
Come on, dude. Come on. Stop it. By the way, in our Dynasty rankings on Dynasty Deluxe, on Player Profiler, we have 3-year projections for Dynasty, and we have Tyler Warren significantly ahead.
That's
I'll let you know that. So, I'm looking at some pretty bad picks in this draft. There was some overall. I love seeing the lean toward running back earlier, which is correct. Shuck went too late as usual. Like Shuck didn't go to the 208, which is absolutely wild. But at least he went ahead of, let's say, Milrow, which at least he went ahead of Betch. Like, come on. So to see Tesla, a special teamer, go in the middle of the 3rd round, that's just lighting a pick on fire. Ferguson over a Giddens, over a Hunter, over a Neal, over a Brooks. I just don't agree with that. Arroyo at the 308, that I like. I like that pick in tight end premium. This Arroyo could be the leading scoring fantasy tight end in year 1. It's very possible. So that's cool. That was cool to see. Great value on Brashard Smith at the 404. And again, there you saw Nick Coder go 402 Pat Bryant when ETN and Brashard Smith especially available. To go Pat Bryant is just, that's indefensible. I don't care what his running back room looks like. I mean, get out, dude. What are you doing? Maybe he just didn't know that Brashard Smith was available? Like, that's how far I would have to go to speculate on how the hell that happened.
In Nick's defense, he does have Bijan, Brees, Derrick Henry, which is pretty strong, especially in this league. But it's a start 3 running back league. So
and there's a flex too.
That's your 3 backs. Like, he went through this whole draft. He traded up for Cam Ward. He traded up from 6 to 3 during the draft because he didn't
he didn't need to do that. If you looked at these past drafts, you could have maybe got him at the 106. This is what I'm telling you. Stop trading up and letting your opponents play perfectly.
Yeah. But he didn't want Dart. I talked to him about this. He didn't want any part of Dart if that would have happened, and he needed a QB. Then he ended up taking Burden, like you said, Pat Bryant, and then Restrepo. So he's got the Ward to Restrepo.
Oh my God!
Potential stack.
Oh, Nick, what are you doing, dude? I mean, unbelievable. I mean, he did a lot of trading. He didn't draft out of his assigned spot very much. Traded up, traded back, traded up, traded back. Yeah, I mean, you need to bolster your running back room in Dynasty via the rookie draft. It is the best place to get running backs. They have their production is heavily tilted towards early career production. That's why you got to get them when they're rookies. The age apex for running backs is 24 and a half years old. So you got to get them when they're rookies. And if you don't, you're probably making a mistake. One more draft. You ready for one more draft?
Can I ask you one question about this roster, though? So this roster that
Sure. Yeah. Talk to us about your roster.
I don't want to talk about my roster really in depth, but I want to ask you a question on this because I've been mulling this and having a tough time with this. Frank really doesn't have a thought on it. In this roster, we have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. And Adams is, of course, the new Los Angeles Ram. And we didn't plan for that. But we have both of these guys in this offense. You think that's a negative EV play in Dynasty for the next 2 years? Like, would you potentially try to get rid of Devontae Adams in that situation and try to maybe potentially get a running back or something?
I wouldn't trade him now because there's doubt about how good he's going to be this year. Where does he sit on the age curve?
Well, that's the thing. You got to.
Right? We don't know. There's the cliff year is coming for Mike Evans and Devontae Adams, and that risk is there. It's hanging in the air. You get a couple big boom weeks, you bank those points, and then you can deal him. So you could deal him in week 3, 4, 5. There's no reason to deal him now because I'm pretty confident that he's going to be really good this year. And I want to make sure that I realize some of those fantasy points and then be able to increase his value in trade, because then everyone that's trading for him is trading for him in a win-now situation, and they feel much better that, okay, I know what I'm getting now. I'm getting big points this year that can help me win a championship. And he needs to show it in a new team. He's a 2014 drafted player, right? I mean, you're always going to deal with the skepticism around a player's age until you start seeing it. And you typically only need to see it for a couple weeks before people are like, okay, I'm sold. He's still good.
I like it.
So that's the move. That's the move. And then you could, but please, by all means, I would never stop someone from trading an aging receiver. I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy who's like, no, you got to hold on to aging receiver X. Oh no.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've had rosters before where I have like Chase and Higgins, and I'm like, I kind of like this. Like, this is kind of fun. Like, I might get a week where Higgins might score 8, right? But the week that Cincinnati scores 38 points, I'm probably going to be sitting pretty great. And that's going to happen more often than it's probably not. But in the Rams, with one of them being Puka and the other one being an aging Adams, and he's a new guy, I'm like, I kind of am nervous about just the scoring and the age thing and just all of it. So I kind of just want to get off of it. And Adams is my, wide receiver 3 on that roster. So it's like, even if I'm taking a little bit of a loss in a trade, I think I still kind of want to get out,
Listen, man, GXRP is criticizing me in the chat saying that I always fade people who speak in absolutes. And I've heard this before. This has been something that is a common criticism. The Podfather is too strong with his takes. He doesn't have enough nuance. There's all these situations he's not thinking about. You need to be open to the possibility that a player is just amazing, even though he doesn't have the draft capital, and there's other options that you would typically draft according to your rule of thumb. But if you have a strong read on this player, you need to be open to taking advantage of that strong read on player X. And I think that is a mistake. I think there is at least one hard and fast rule in Dynasty, and that is if you have several picks in rounds 2, 3, 4, 5 of a rookie draft, if those picks are not weighted toward running back, you are doing it wrong. Unless the format is like, I only start one running back or something wild and weird, tight end super premium or something, and the tight ends are falling for no reason. I don't know. I'm trying to think of scenarios where you wouldn't make sure you're locking in a Taj Brooks, a Brashard Smith, a Jaden Blue, a Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. These are the players every year that will pay off. They are much more flippable. They are much more startable if things break their way in year one. This is a rule. This is not fungible. This is not something that you could just, this year is a bit different and maybe, right? This year is extreme. This year, it's much easier than most years to be like, that Restrepo pick was fucking idiotic. And I'm talking to you, and you know it, right? But, like, there's other seasons where the running back group is not nearly as strong, and the wide receivers are stronger than they are this year. And then there's a better case. But man, that guy, he was drafted in the 3rd round. Man, I probably should grab him here. I really like him. Me personally, really liked Michael Wilson coming out. 3rd round pick. But as tempted as I was to push that button, no. You restrain yourself, and you end up with a running back who then becomes a must start because of injuries ahead of him on the depth chart. and he goes out and scores 25 fantasy points. And I don't know if Michael Wilson has ever scored 25 fantasy points in a game. And I would bet that Pat Bryant never scores 25 fantasy points in a game in his entire career. And that is just making life easier for fantasy gamers. It's pretty complicated. This whole game is pretty complicated, especially Dynasty and Dynasty rookie draft season. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of ways you can play it. Trading for picks, trading out of picks. Like, there's a lot of ways you can do it. And if you just have one North Star, just one North Star that you don't compromise on, which is, I'm going to leave this draft with more late round running backs than late round receivers. If that's the one rule that you live by, I think that's okay. Especially if it's a rule that, in the history of me in this business, talking to people that have been doing this for 5 or more years, no one, not a single person, has a case that they can make that says, no, I did the opposite of that. I went receiver heavy and it worked out better than if I, redealt the deck over a 10-year period. I would have been better off. No. No one has ever said that to me. No one has ever said, man, I did what you said, and I went running back over receiver, all else equal, in these later rounds, year after year after year, and then I made notes every year on the receiver I would have taken, and then I went back in time, and I reran the draft, having drafted the receiver I would have taken over that running back in that particular situation, and as it turns out, I counted up all the fantasy points, and sure enough, I would have been better off drafting the receivers. No one I've ever talked to, we're talking about the biggest, best Dynasty players in the world, Rich Rebar, Ryan McDowell, you name it. They've all come on and they've agreed with this position. So yes, there are certain rules of thumb that are uncompromising, that not only make your life easier, they provide a North Star, so then you can then do all kinds of other creative things, and you can follow your reads on players around this rule. But if you have this one guideline that you're following, at the end of the rookie draft, when you look up and you come up for air, you're like, oh, okay, I like this team. I got Jalen Knoll. He's my one wide receiver. And then look at these running backs. I'm pretty happy. Instead of it going off in the wrong direction, and you look up and now you have 4 receivers and 1 running back. And yeah, you like those receivers. They have some sex appeal. But a year from now, they're going to be just clogging your taxi squad with no hope of being started or flipped.
This is your Isaiah Pacheco, Phillip Lindsay, your Jordan Mason corollary.
I mean, we're talking about undrafted players. When you go to a Lindsay, when you go to an Eckler, we're going all the way to undrafted. Where undrafted running backs could conceivably take priority over a 4th round receiver. Like, that's how far I will take it, because we have a history of this actually paying off, right? Yeah. 7th round running backs paying off. Whereas you can name, like, okay, 1 Julian Edelman, right? 1 Puka Nacua. It's like every 10 years. Get out of here. Get out of here. Even
draft. Puka was a 5th round pick, though.
Yeah. Puka wasn't even like a
fantasy
Mr. Irrelevant type pick. Pacheco was very much a Mr. Irrelevant type pick. And I can promise you there will be an undrafted running back or two from this class that will produce. We don't even know who they are. They weren't drafted in these drafts, but it's going to be somebody. Now, this was a draft that I'm looking at now. This looks like the last 3 were on Sleeper. This one was on My Fantasy League.
FFPC.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Love the FFPC.
This was an orphan that I added about 2 months ago.
Is this a $35 one, or was it more expensive?
This one is a 250 Superflex Dynasty.
This is a big one. This is $250, man. This one matters. We should have spent most of the time on this one. If we were spending like the ROI, the requisite ROI analysis, we would have spent most of our time breaking down this draft and very little time breaking down the other drafts. But instead we did the reverse. We're at the end of the show. We may not even get to our buys and sells. We will get to it. Stay tuned. We will get to it. We are going to get to it. It's just we're ranting and we're breaking down drafts. We're having a lot of fun. Unbroken goes Ashton Genty. Then it goes McMillan, Ward. Okay, see, this is high stakes. And what are they doing? In a 2 QB environment, a super flex environment, they're going Cam Ward at the 103. That is correct. But then it's also tight end premium, and someone went Colson Loveland at the 105. Whoa, that's aggressive. But anyway, 104 is Hampton, then Loveland at the 105, Henderson, Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Tyler Warren, Travis Hunter, Emeka Egbuka, Matthew Golden. RJ Harvey doesn't go until the 202. I mean, Egbuka over Harvey is not right. I would not do that. But someone did it, and they spent a lot of money to do it. So, I mean, you got to respect. You got to respect that. So here, your team name is
The Steak.
The Steak. So you went Loveland.
I went Loveland at 5 and Warren at 9. And Caleb Johnson at 8.
Okay, so you just had a lot of picks. I'm glad you had a lot of picks. Great job getting all these picks. Fantastic job getting all these picks. You got your Caleb Johnson. Wow, nice job, man. So how much trading did you do in this? It looks like you traded your 205.
So the trading that I did, I've only made, since I got in the league, I made 2 trades, and they were both the week of the draft. So I traded Shador Sanders 303 and 305 for Mike Evans. So that's not really a qualifier. I traded 610 and 605 for a 2026 fourth. So I didn't make any moves within this, really. Like, I traded away Shador after.
Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it goes Dart, Harvey, Burden, Scadaboo, Tootin, Harris, Jaden Higgins, Knoll. Higgins, Knoll, back-to-back. Love that. Sanders, Shador goes 209. That's aggressive. Then Mason Taylor, Besh, Milrow. Interesting. And then in this draft, because it's FFPC, you get some veterans that were cut that start to leak in. So Dobbins goes to the 302. Liggett goes at the 305. Someone shed Liggett. Wow. Someone knows what they're doing. Whoever dropped Liggett, I want to know who that is. Did you?
Can I was going to say, I was going to wonder which way you went with that. Yes, I cut him. The owner before me traded for him, traded the 408 for Xavier Liggett. I cut him because we had to get down to 16 before the draft. I cut him.
Dude, look where Roshan went. Roshan was available at the 310. Wow. But you went blue over Roshan, huh?
I love that you can do that too. I love that the FFPC has this. Yes. So you can see a guy that was like taken the year before or 2 years before. You're like, oh man, he got cut. Where would he go in this class? And then you literally see him go after Devin Neal. Yeah, I love Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue could be.
He could be a monster this year. No, there's no question. Look at this. Braylon Allen at the 307, 407. So Braylon Allen goes.
Wait. I did not even realize that.
Did you see that? Braylon Allen went 10 picks after Roshan Johnson.
I think he got past a lot of people's peripherals because I would have. Oh my gosh,
that's crazy.
Honestly, probably. I would have.
Well, no, it doesn't make any sense. Listen, man, I'll just explain this to people. If you're at the 312 and you're going Jordan James over Braylon Allen, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
you're doing it wrong. Like there's a case for Jarquez Hunter. Jarquez Hunter's really good, man. Devin Neal, he could be really good this year. Jaden Blue could be a monster. Woody Marks, all these guys, there's a case to be made, but not over Braylon Allen. Once you get into round 4, it goes Fannin, Marvin Mims, A.O. Manor, ETN, Will Howard, Brashard Smith, Braylon Allen. That's a woof. That's a woof. And then I feel the same way about Taj Brooks, though. I mean, I think Taj Brooks and Braylon Allen will have similar production this year. So for me, Taj Brooks making it that far is also indefensible. Look at the coach worship on the Kyle Shanahan with Jordan James at the 312. My goodness. What? I love the coach centric picks. There's no other reason for that to happen.
That's a good 412 pick. I don't know about 312.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a mild 412 pick.
All right, so that's the best pick in the draft is the Braylon Allen pick. Pretty easy analysis there. And then later in the draft, Adonai Mitchell was available at the 502. What? That's the hack in these drafts, these FFPC dynasty drafts. You just gotta go with the veterans. My goodness, I can't believe Adonai Mitchell was there at the 502. The idea that you would go Jalen Royals over Adonai Mitchell. Jalen Royals was drafted much later than Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell's actually teed up for a good year, especially after being efficient. And he was totally betrayed by Anthony Richardson. So he if there's a wide receiver in this league that deserves a mulligan, it is Adonai Mitchell. My goodness, man. So the idea that you would take Mitchell after even an AO manner, it's just that's not right. So what happens? People just forget about they just forgot that there were veterans available?
I'll be purely honest with you. I didn't have a pick from 308 to 705, so I was 100% sleeping. I was just asleep at the wheel, worried about other drafts because I knew I wasn't going to be up for like multiple days. And I'm just now, when I sent you this draft board, I'm just now looking at round 4, 5, and 6.
Someone took a defense over Marshawn Lloyd?
Bro, did you?
What?
I mean, Cedric Tillman at the 507?
What? Yeah, this is some wacky stuff. There's some wacky stuff going on. I can tell you what happens in leagues like this.
I'd rather have Cedric Tillman than Jack Besh.
Listen.
I'm mad I fell asleep at the wheel on this one because
look at Tillman, man. Tillman
no
goes,
BS.
Tillman goes after, this is the insult of all, Tillman going after Keenan Allen. Like, okay, I think you're perfectly fine to ignore Keenan Allen, okay? But not, and then where Liggett goes, I mean, I think Tillman's going to crush Liggett this year.
Dude, Keenan Allen's not even on a roster. Restrepo was undrafted. Isaiah Bond is in court. Like those 3 receivers right in front of him. Like
this is $250. This goes to show, man. This goes to show that just because a league has a much higher buy-in doesn't necessarily mean it's tougher, right? This is the same thing with poker. You have these poker games that are, the high-stakes poker games, and people go play, and they're like, wait, I was playing 1-2, and my 1-2 game I keep playing at this casino is rough. And then I end up in this private game that's high stakes and it's a breeze. This is what we're talking about. Yeah. This is crazy. Well, this is crazy. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, just the 409 Taj Brooks, the 507 Cedric Tillman, the 512 Marshawn Lloyd. My goodness. Because in these cut-down leagues, so what happens is in the FFPC is the rosters are like 24 players deep. And then at some point in the offseason, the early offseason, you have to cut down to like 16 players. You have to cut like 8 guys.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is all these receivers, remember we talked about all the receivers? And this is part of why I have this philosophy. It helped to inform this philosophy is playing in the FFPC. You really have to scrutinize your taxi squad in the offseason. And then you have to come to Jesus on a lot of these guys, and you end up drafting a lot of these receivers in round 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the NFL draft, like a Michael Wilson, okay, like a Pat Bryant this year. They get drafted, and then they end up right back in the draft the next year. Even first-rounders like Liggett can end up right back in the draft the following year, but you don't see a lot of running backs. The running backs you're seeing are Braylon Allen, which is surprising he was even dropped, and, of course, Roschon Johnson. That's just because the public doesn't respect Roschon Johnson, and Marshawn Lloyd. And those are the guys you're scooping. So I would have been scooping Mitchell at the 502, Tillman at the 507, and Lloyd at the 512. Yeah, if I were you, I would have tried to trade back into the 5th round. I would have had a hard-on to trade back into the 5th round for veteran
This is
players.
my learn to not fall asleep during these FFPC drafts, and even if I don't got to pick for a couple rounds, I gotta scroll through.
Oh my God.
I mean, because you know how it is when you get in some of these rooms and like the ADPs can be just completely broken in MFL sleeper. Doesn't really matter what FFPC. Like the ADPs are all different depending on where you're at, and if you don't realize, especially when there's no veterans, definitely usually in rookie drafts, or the consistency of Tillman being available across these FFPC drafts, the ATP can be 100 spots low. So if you're not digging down there, then you're not going to be drafting Cedric Tillman. I would have taken him literally ahead of Jack Besh.
Crazy. Okay, so GXRP is now saying that he wasn't criticizing me in the chat. He was criticizing someone else, and that he was trying to compliment me. This is what happens, by the way, just so everybody knows. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm producing the show. We're running these promotions. We're trying to pull up all these draft rooms and talk about them, and I'm trying to think about what I would do in certain situations, who I would draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chat is scrolling at a hypersonic pace at the same time, and I'm just seeing things scroll by. And I don't always get the full context. So, yes, GXRP was taken out of context. I'm not going to apologize. I mean, it's great content, and I would never take that rant back. That was a great rant. You did a great job, a great service for the show. GXRP, congratulations. Thank you for your contribution. But I will admit that your comment was taken out of context, and I'm glad you're a fan. Now, I am going to share the players I am buying right now in Dynasty. I am buying Courtland Sutton. And I just think that this is probably the easiest buy of all. It doesn't really count to say you're buying Calvin Ridley because Calvin Ridley's 30 years old. Once a guy's 30 years old, it's very easy to acquire. It's not like you give up a lot to get Calvin Ridley. He's a Titan. He's 30. It's like, ooh, such a strong position you're taking. Oh, thanks for that incredible intelligence to go out and trade for Calvin Ridley, Podfather. Courtland Sutton's 29, but Courtland Sutton's not a Titan. Courtland Sutton is the number one receiver on what is an improving offense that people are relatively excited about. And to me, I just think that is the ultimate smash. I mean, that is the guy that I'm always trying to acquire. I'm always putting the feelers out to try to get Courtland Sutton. Number 2 in air yards last year was 1787. Number 5 in air yards share. Number 7 in deep targets. And we expect the rapport to get better with him and Bo Nix. The target separation was not great, right? He's not a great separator. That's not his thing. He's not great after the catch. That's only 179 yards after the catch. But he is an outside playmaker, and at age 29, he's still in his prime. I think we got at least 1 or 2 good years left for Courtland Sutton, and there's no one close in the depth chart to him. So to me, I think it's a smash, and it's easy because no one thinks of Courtland Sutton as a stud. So that's why it's a very easy add, very easy acquisition target. He's a guy that I would start a trade conversation to try to get him, and then just hope that the trade conversation. My problem is you start these trade conversations where you're trying to target Courtland Sutton. What you have to be careful about is letting the trade get too big. Suddenly the trade gets blown out. Nate Liss is trying to trade up one slot in the rookie draft. He ends up giving up Derrick Henry. You can't let that happen. You need to be targeted. You need to try to keep the trade small to get Courtland Sutton. Don't let the trade get too big. That's the rule of thumb if you're going for a player like Courtland Sutton. This is a guy you want for 2 years. He's going to be an upgrade, but he's not going to be a league winner. So that's my position on Courtland Sutton. I'm also trying to trade for Brock Purdy. The contract is helpful for his long-term dynasty value, but I was in before, I was in after. Again, in Superflex and 2 QB leagues, he is my favorite quarterback to build around. If I don't have him, I'm trying to get him. Josh Downs is another guy I'm trying to trade for. Josh Downs is only going to benefit from any change in quarterback. there is a high probability that Michael Pittman's in his last year in Indianapolis, and then they're going to move on and move Adonai Mitchell into that position. And so now Josh Downs is looking at potentially 2 to 3 years where the Indianapolis Colts have no need to upgrade the wide receiver position, and he can be the number one. Tajay Spears is one of my favorite handcuffs. He's a dynamic playmaker. That offense is getting better, and everyone has already forgotten about him because, again, it's like Roschon Johnson and Spears. 2 years have gone by. They haven't broken out, but they were the two best running backs at that Senior Bowl, not Chase Brown. Remember, it was Chase Brown, Roschon, and Spears. Spears was making plays. Roschon was a total stud, and Chase Brown was puking on his sweater. So that's what happened. And so I'm all in on trying to get Spears as a throw-in, trying to get Cedric Tillman as a throw-in. There's not a significant difference between Tillman and Judy, unlike Carolina, where the difference between Liggett and Tet McMillan is gigantic. So it's very easy to see Cedric Tillman making a leap this year. He's very comparable metrically to players like Nico Collins, and they are going to throw a lot. The throws aren't going to be very accurate, but he is going to at least be in a target-rich environment in Cleveland this year. So I do like Cedric Tillman, and I love Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, every year he gets discounted because he's not that explosive, but he's operating in one of the best offenses you could possibly imagine. The other running back options have not been upgraded much. I mean, I like Corey Krosky-Merritt as a flyer, but all the more reason to get B-Rob and J.C.M. So that's an easy one. Like, Brian Robinson isn't even that old. He's just still in his mid-20s. The idea you can get a running back in his mid-20s that's an all-purpose back on one of the best offenses in the league at value, that's almost never possible. And again, this was a running back that was drafted in the 3rd round. And if you go back and, again, we redeal the deck, I'm sure there were a bunch of receivers drafted ahead of Brian Robinson in that rookie draft that have flamed out and have been dead weight on rosters, and you would have been better off just drafting the running back, even a running back you weren't impressed by athletically, in Brian Robinson. So those are my big buys. Who are your big buys in Dynasty right now?
I got a couple. First off, I'll go to the guy that I've referenced a few times through the show. That's Keon Coleman up in Buffalo. Buffalo added Josh Palmer this year. They have Khalil Shakir. Of course, they have Dalton Kincaid. But Keon Coleman, it was a guy that was the first pick in the 2024 second round, in the second round of the 2024 NFL draft. Quiet 556 yards last year, 19 yards per reception, number 1 in target quality rating on Player Profiler, number 4 in yards per reception in the NFL. People like this, I've seen, he is going so late right now. He's ranked I've seen in the 70s in Dynasty. People have just completely forgotten who Keon Coleman was. And I found myself continuing to go out and get Keon Coleman. Here's a third. Throw him in. Just get him for nothing at this stage of the game for Keon Coleman in Buffalo. He'll be the alpha. I think you're looking at a 1,000-yard season upcoming for Keon Coleman. The other receiver is Jackson Smith-Njigba. People might say, well, you can't go out and buy Jackson Smith-Njigba because he's already at the top. Well, I think you can continue to buy him because he should be in the top group. He should be in Dynasty considered in that same group as Lamb, Neighbors, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He should be in that conversation. He will be in that conversation sooner than later, because as much as we like Cooper Kupp, as much as we like that offense in Seattle, he's going to be the guy in Seattle. It's not going to be Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Torrey Horton. I love him. He's not going to. This is Jackson Smith-Njigba's passing game, and he should continue to climb up into the top 5 at Dynasty at wide receiver. At running back, we talked about a month and a half, 2 months ago, about Jordan Mason, the running back in Minnesota, about Minnesota trading for Jordan Mason, right? They traded for him. They traded a pick away to get Jordan Mason. Did they add a running back in the draft? No, sir. They have Aaron Jones. They have Jordan Mason. They got Tykevius Chandler. I think Jordan Mason's going to be I'll say he's going to be the lead back. He's going to be the guy that gets the 150 to 250 carries this year. He's going to be the one that stays healthy for the year behind this top 5 offensive line in Minnesota. So Jordan Mason, he was a league winner last year for the 3 quarters of the season. He's going to be a league winner this year if you draft and just believe in the offense. DeAndre Swift in Chicago. He had Ben Johnson in Detroit. I know I've been a anti DeAndre Swift guy forever. I was a fan 2 years ago when he was in Philly because I love that offensive line. I've been anti DeAndre Swift pretty much forever, just like I was Devonta Freeman. I wasn't getting tricked by it. But in this situation, he gets back with Ben Johnson. He knows the scheme. They have Roschon, yes, but they've showed us what they think of Roschon, unfortunately. They drafted Monangai. We all have hopes for Monangai. But the thing is Swift is still the golden pony in this backfield right now. And nobody wants to believe it. Nobody wants to trust it, but it is what it is. And we should believe in it because they went and spent the money on the offensive line. They drafted the offensive line, and they're going to have a good offensive line with DeAndre Swift. And
where did you get that term, golden pony?
I don't know. I just
that
pulled
was
it out
a
of
great term. I'm going to borrow that.
I don't really know where I got
pony.
it from. It was. I looked up and it was here. I just kind of where it was at.
You just came. I just pulled that out of the sky, man. You're like the Bob Dylan. That was wow. That was great.
DeAndre Swift, the golden pony in Chicago.
That's right. That's right. We would be remiss if we did not mention Jalen Coker. The Fantasy Plumber reminded us that Jalen Coker is a buy. We've talked about him many times on the show as a buy. Jalen Coker remains a buy. Even more so now that they added Tet McMillan, and clearly based on these rookie drafts where veterans are available, people are still truthering for Xavier Leggett, unfortunately, but Coker is better. In terms of sells, so we have some sells here. I have some Dynasty Sells. I'm going to go through these very quickly. DK Metcalf is a sell after the Pickens trade. DK Metcalf has a little bit of a value spike, and it's meaningless, right? It's meaningless. It's still a terrible situation. He's still very easy for opponents to defend. There's no trend line pointing anywhere other than down for DK Metcalf. It's just been a consistent slide since 2020 with his efficiency, his air yards, everything. And he's not the player he could have been. So many people that are in the NFL, so many like guys like Restrepo, right, would do anything to have DK Metcalf's body. And DK Metcalf was born into that body and decided that he was going to just order candy from Uber Eats and skip leg day until he's out of the league. Devon Achane is in a very difficult situation on a team that could be near last in points scored, that will likely implode mid-season, where there's a management turnover, there's a coaching turnover, there's already offensive line turnover that is going to affect his efficiency. They added Ollie Gordon, which means a few less carries. Things could turn from bad to worse for Achane, and he's going in Dynasty at his absolute pinnacle. So it's an easy fade. Just see what you can get. Put him on the block. Zach Charbonnet, right? In one of these rookie drafts, I think I saw Damian Martinez go at the very end of the draft. Like the last pick.
Yeah.
Right? It was the third draft that we looked at. There was a lot of running backs going in round 3 and 4, which I thought was super smart. And I thought that was a savvy draft. And then I looked at the end, and at the 5-12, there's Damian Martinez. So someone or 11 other people forgot that Damian Martinez was available, and he was drafted. And if and when Kenneth Walker tweaks his groin, he will get carries. That is just a thing that is going to happen. And therefore, the upside case for Charbonnet has shriveled up. There really isn't much of a case. It used to be, groin injury for Kenneth Walker, wheels up for Zach Charbonnet. That is no longer the case. Easy fade. Get him off your roster. Get what you can. Jerry Jeudy, you're lucky. If you had Jerry Jeudy, the problem is the people that have Jerry Jeudy on their roster have believed in Jerry Jeudy, and he just confirmed last year.
Yep.
And so there's just this confirmation bias that is going to leave him locked into rosters. you could shake these people and shake some sense into them and be like, listen, he's not good. He luck boxed over 1,000 yards last year and over 140 targets. That's not going to happen again. Get the hell out of there with Joe Flacco at quarterback and a team that is in tank mode. But you can't talk sense into people that have Jerry Jeudy. So I know he's a fade, but these people don't listen to this show. And very few people in this audience, they have Jerry Jeudy. But if it so happens that you do have him, please consider putting him on the block. And then Jordan Addison. I don't see the case for Jordan Addison. The upside case is not there. We have an effectively a rookie quarterback coming in, and there's no path to being the alpha in that offense. And really the question is, can he be the beta? Because TJ Hawkinson's also a very good player, and he's finally going to have a full offseason where he's not rehabbing injury. He's not athletically impressive. He's a possession receiver. I don't see the spike weeks coming. I see him as a floor play only, and floor plays only that still have draft capital and still have this affinity in Dynasty where you look at their valuation, look at like a keep trade cut. I'm like, oh no, I got to put Jordan Addison on the block. How about you? Who are you fading?
I love Addison. That's tough for me. I'll go running back.
Isn't that reasonable what I said?
Yeah. No, 100%. And the thing is, when that contract comes up for Addison, I just don't even know if Minnesota's going to be the spot for him in 2 years. Like I don't know what that he might be, a guy that hits free agency and he's a $35-40 million receiver, and he goes somewhere and he's potentially thrusted into a number one role that he never fulfills. And, he's sort of like a DJ Moore, but
what if Ty Felton exceeds expectations? Then he becomes expendable. That should happen. It's a good offense with Kevin O'Connell. I think Jordan Addison's really good. It'd be tough for me. I have, as much as I try and I do pretty well keeping fandom out of things. I think that I'm just a fan of a good offense, and that's a good offense, and I'm a fan of that team, obviously. 3 sells I got. 2 running backs, 1 receiver. Kyron Williams still does not have a deal to extend past this season. They draft Jarquez Hunter. They drafted Blake Corum a year ago. Kyron Williams is sitting in here at 200 pounds, taking on these 200-plus carries year after year. You got to get out sooner or later. They've drafted this type. They have their type in Los Angeles, and whether they pay him or not, I still have this feeling. There's no way that they're going to sit here and draft these backs back to back to back and just be like, well, they're good. They're good to have in the garage, but I'm not going to drive that Ferrari today. I'm not going to. Remember you asked about Devontae Adams earlier?
Yeah,
another Ram.
Yeah,
Kyron Williams is the opposite case where you want to make sure you trade him before week 1.
Yeah,
you don't want your league mates to see questionable usage in week 1.
And that's the one thing he's been carrying his career on is opportunity share. He's had the Kings opportunity share week in and week out in Los Angeles. And now they have 2 backs behind him that should alleviate that and not allow it to happen.
Yep.
If
you start seeing Jarquez Hunter get a lot of buzz in camp, you might just want to get rid of him. Get Kyron Williams off your roster.
That might be a point where you're too late, especially if he doesn't have a contract by that point. You might be, and I don't think he will. They've been kind of kicking the can for the last 5 months.
The clock is ticking to trade Kyron Williams. Okay, who else?
Bucky Irving. Mm-hmm. Bucky Irving. He gave it to us last year. He's 5'10", 5'9", 194 pounds. He added 47 receptions last year, no touchdowns, 200 carries. Rachaad White's contract does expire at the end of this year. But he's like Bucky Irving is not Austin Eckler. He's not Christian McCaffrey from a physique perspective, from a training perspective. He's a good football player. He's not an elite athlete that's going to live up and live through this 2, 3, 4 years of beating your body. Another year, a new offensive coordinator in Tampa right now, continuing to lose red zone opportunities to Cade Otton, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He's not going to be the guy that everyone's forced him to be. And you're already seeing in seasonal stuff him being forced into the teens in these drafts. He's going to be a guy that's going to be an early second round pick in seasonal drafts. And when people talk about him in dynasty terms as a top 8, top 7 guy, and I look and I see trades out here where it's like you can get multiple ones and Rashee Rice. I can get Puka Nacua plus. Like, get out of here. I'm moving on. I'm past Bucky Irving. I'm out on Bucky Irving.
That is great. That is very brave to say that about a player people love. And if you like that, if you like brave takes, everyone, like this show, share the podcast with your friends, like the show, put a comment on the show once it's over. If you're in the live chat, stay with us, comment on the show, let us know who you're selling, who are you buying in Dynasty. Put that in the comments. Like the show if you enjoy what we're doing. Who else you got?
One more player, and I couldn't finish the show without talking about him because I didn't realize he was a sell because I didn't realize people had him. I didn't realize people were buying him at one point. But there are deals out there where you can trade away Quentin Johnston and you get a 2026 second. You can trade away Quentin Johnston and get Cedric Tillman. 2 quarterback, 12-team, full PPR happened today. You can trade away Quentin Johnston and you can get Cooper Kupp. I'm not someone that has a lot of Quentin Johnston. I actually have no Quentin Johnston.
No.
But if you're out there and you're wondering what I should do with Quentin Johnston, should I continue to trust this process? No, don't trust it because they brought back Mike Williams. No, don't trust it because they brought in Trey Harris in the second round, who averaged 5.15 yards per run this past year. No, don't trust it because Keandre Lambert-Smith is a better stretch receiver. No, don't trust it because Ladd McConkey is just that much better than Quentin Johnston. And also, I don't even think they're going to throw the football that much. So trade Quentin Johnston as fast as you can.
Quentin Sells, son. Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.